Hi again, folks, and welcome to my Shell Busey House Smart, we call it the coffee break. And grab your coffee, sit back and relax, and really enjoy what we have to say today. I have Mike Olma with me, and Mike is with the Home Improvement Division, Shell Busey's Home Improvements and Renovations. How are you doing, Mike?
Doing good, Shell.
Good. And we're going to talk about windows. I know a lot of homeowners out there are wanting to replace their windows. Maybe they don't want to do all of them. Maybe they only want to do a couple of elevations or whatever. But Mike is a man that you will very likely see in the event if you do go that course using our services and our referral through Shell Busey's Home Improvements. So Mike, you know, it's always, you've been selling windows for years and years and years. You've seen a lot of change in windows. But tell us, are you still selling some aluminum, or are they all vinyl today?
No aluminum at all. They're all vinyl. Basically, there's no Energy Star rating for an aluminum window, so the companies that we used to use back in the early 2000s no longer really exist, except for possibly for storm window applications.
Right.
And that. Maybe some of the solarium companies will still use a thermally broken aluminum extrusion.
I was going to say that, thermally broken. Yeah, like, for example, our daughter owns a home that's got thermally broken aluminum frames, and they're really sound and everything else. It's just a matter, if you really had them, is it really necessary to change them, or are you getting basically the same features that you would today on a vinyl window?
No, actually, just yesterday we took out 2 8-foot patio doors and 2 6-foot by 6-foot windows, thermally broken, and the customer could absolutely feel the difference on the warmth transition from the vinyl to the aluminum. Even though thermally broken, there was still a lot of cool air transferring to the interior of the frame on the thermally broken.
Well, it makes a lot of sense, even when you get into an automobile. I mean, those you can feel the draft off the side windows and the window glass on your windshield, that sort of thing. So it makes a whole lot of sense. You've been around since the Power Smart days, and BC Hydro and BC Gas. When it was BC Gas, they requested vinyl and all the rest of it for the energy efficiency factor. But what about glass that goes into the frame? First of all, the frame has to be tested for air leakage, all that.
Oh yeah, you know, there's specific requirements. Depending on which part of Canada, we're talking the Lower Mainland primarily. So we're like a Zone A. So there's requirements for a Zone A window, which wouldn't pass if you were even in the interior of BC, and then Alberta, Winnipeg, Saskatchewan. So we have a classification that we need to, or there's a requirement for the Lower Mainland window, which any window that we would use has made that pass.
Well, one of the things that I give you full marks for, and that is the fact that you know there is a good, you know there is a better, and you know there is a best when it comes to selling windows through the Shell Busey House Smart Home Improvements. Because a lot of these box stores, the same window goes into Saskatoon as goes into Burnaby. So there's going to be a change. And this broadcast of ours goes right across the country, so we just want to make homeowners aware that ULC, that's the Underwriter Labs, and CSA, and then the air testing, you want to make sure that you are buying a window that is quality orientated for the area that you live in. So, and then glass becomes a big part of it, and most important, talking to you, installation.
Oh yes, there's any given house could have 5 or 6 different methods to install a window. Any given house, I've installed 3 different methods on the same house, making sure that cosmetically what we do on the front of the house is even or looking proper on the front, where on the back, for example, you get people that have cedar siding on the bottom portion of the house and they have stucco on the top portion of the house. Well, with a cedar siding, you typically, because it's beveled, the best way to protect that is to use a nail-on fin on the bottom and then put a wood trim around. Whereas on the top, when you got the smooth stucco, you could use a 2-inch renovation rebate flange window, but the look and appearance is different from top to bottom, and it's the front of the house. So then typically the customer will say, well, let's put the window in, let's use a traditional nail-on fin, new construction fin, and do a wood trim around to match the bottom, portion of the house.
And that's something that we're going to have pictures, folks, that you'll see on your screen showing the difference being a rebate flange or the nail-on flange. Now, glass is very important. That you get energy efficiency glass, you get low E glass, you get low E squared glass, you get argon gas, all these things. And all the time that you're talking, I'm sure a lot of people say, oh, gas. What's this gas business all about?
Well, I tell them it's pretty simple. I say it's just an inert gas that is between the sealed units. And what that inert gas does is it travels around within the sealed unit itself. And because cold air likes to sink to the bottom of your window, typically between the seal, that gas will transfer that cold air to the top corner, move the warm air down to the bottom. Mm-hmm. So the glass in the top corner and the bottom corner should be a relatively consistent temperature, so that the bottom of your window frame is not getting too cold to the point where that condensation point could take place.
As I say, good, better, best. Why worry about the rest? When the good is better, the better is best. Yeah. And you can take that information and put it into layman's terms when you're dealing with the homeowner. And a lot of this information that's read on the internet, maybe explaining it properly, but the interpretation becomes somewhat of a real misty situation when people understand. They just don't understand it. And one of the other things that I have a lot of credit to be placed on Michael's shoulders, and that is that if you go out and you've got a white and a beige window, you're going to promote that to the homeowner. You know, you can have beige for the same price. Why go white if you're dominant in that kind of a beigey color on the outside anyway? And also when it comes to installing the window, you're going to be able to advise them should it be installed from the inside or the outside, depending on all the J-trims and the type of siding and what have you. So it's not something that's just that easy. It's something that really becomes part and parcel of the know-how. And one of the other things that I would like to suggest that you explain, what about changing sizes? Like if I've got a 4-foot wide window now, by 4 foot high, square 4 by 4, and I want to make it 4 foot wide and 6 feet high. Can I do that?
Yes, we can do that. Typically, we have to take a look structurally. There is a header. There should be a header above the window, depending on the direction of the trusses of the roof. We can get away with elevating the windows, but for most situations, the windows, whether they're in bedrooms or living rooms, have already been situated directly up against the header, and from a structural standpoint, it's not a good thing to be cutting into your header. Maybe if you need to chisel out 1 inch because of an oddball size. So most customers will ask to have the window drop down 5 or 7 or 10 or 12 inches. Again, you got to look at the house. If it's on a gable end and you've got the king truss, in a sense, you don't necessarily need to have the header there, but if you're on the broad side of the house or the bottom side slope of the house where it's carrying all the trusses, then we do have to either open up the drywall or potentially take off the exterior cladding and apply the header from the outside in, so we're not having to do any drywall work and stuff like that.
That was a novel, but we'll give you credit for the Reader's Digest version. But no, but it goes to show you just how involved it becomes putting in windows. Where I know there's people who go out there and salespeople, and they just go out, measure two width, 2 heights, and away they go and order the windows. The same thing as you can't buy a rebate flange at a retail store. That's something that you're going to get from an installation sales division like Shelbuzzy's House Smart Home Improvements. One last item, we got to get into patio doors. I know there's patio doors that are sliders, patio doors now that are becoming like the French doors, and French doors are becoming quite popular. Are they adaptable in the same openings?
Yes, they are. Typically, the only issue that I've run across is the actual depth of a patio door versus the depth of a French door. You want the French door to come right in to line up flush with the drywall on the inside, so we can do a nice wood trim. Situation that occurs there is that they've either got hardwood flooring, tile, carpet, So we have to very gingerly cut and allow for the patio door at the bottom to come right tight. So we've got to cut the flooring, which we've done fairly often. With tile, it's a little bit more difficult. At that point, we are inclined to take away a little bit of the header height to allow the patio door to sit on top of the tile, and then support the area just outside of the tile with a piece of plywood or something. But yes, they do fit in. Sometimes it's a nuisance. Sometimes the header has there's a crown in the headers, and sometimes they've dropped if it's an 8-foot opening, so we've had to chisel that away. But they do fit in actually not too badly.
Well, that's good. That's great, but that gives the homeowner some assurance that it's going to be done properly and not end up with an oops situation. Go to put it in, and oops, we got a problem here, and then you try to go around it. Whereas that has to be taken care of before you even order your windows. Now, what about round tops? Still available?
Yes, round tops are still available, and I think one of the issues that I've ran across over the last 15 or 17 years is that the circumference of the round top windows in particular houses is so great that the extrusion itself is not allowed to be bent. So, for example, if you've got something less than 20 inches, the round top is possibly not going to be an option to you. And specifically if it's a renovation window, I know for a fact that they cannot make the 2-inch flange wrap on a 20-inch radius or a 20-inch wide window with a round top. So in some situations I have seen customers just sort of back away and unfortunately leave that one aluminum window in the house just because of that.
Yeah.
Until time down the future where something can be or we have squared off the existing round, because we do know that the header is going to be at the greatest point of the top of the round, so we know we have a void on the crown. So we do have a void which will allow us to do the work to square off the top of the window,
and
insulate drywall. We could go on for quite some time. Typically people say, how much damage are you doing to the interior of my house? How much painting do I have to do? And over thousands of windows. Like, I personally will come out and meet the people. I will take a rough dimension, and then we'll proceed forward with a quote or a price. I'm the actual person that comes, measures the window down to 1/8 of an inch. I'm the person who orders the windows, and at this point would be considered your site supervisor and organizing things. So the answer to the question I asked myself a minute ago was typically just a bead of DAP on the inside of the windows, and we are done and clean and finished, and that's it. There's no painting required or anything. Patio doors are different and French doors are different because of the old patio doors versus the new French doors. The new patio doors, the widths were out by 1.25 inches to 1.5 inches, so we may have to do a wood return, but again, nice, clean, finished,
and you take
ready
care
for
of it.
paint. Yeah.
And I can say it, folks, it's just that easy for him. So when it comes to buying your windows, give that opportunity to Shell Busey's House Smart Home Improvements, so especially throughout the area of Greater Vancouver. And Mike Olma, my guest, will definitely be the person that comes out and does that measurement and the installation. He'll arrange and supervise. So folks, that's your coffee break for today, talking about windows. And even if you have to listen to it in a couple of segments, do so, because it's so important to have the questions when it comes to getting answers from the professionals. Mike, thank you very, very much. Really appreciate it. You betcha.